This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Heidi ho, everybody. How are you? And every time I do that, I don't have the background. I don't know what the deal is. I just don't know what the deal is with this. I got to flip through a few things here now. There we go. Hey, everybody. BMR here. Brunch with Bigfoot Michiganrob. And, of course, my buddy Tex, the working man. Tex, I'm always pulling him out of bed when he gets home to do this show. Hello to Tex. He's backstage. If you see flickering in the background, we got storms rolling in and my lights are getting kind of funky. So I apologize for that in advance. Of course, if it's your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michiganrob on YouTube. And I must tell you, if you're new here, it may be a little early to announce this as people roll into the chat room. If you are new, please subscribe. But if you have not subscribed to Tex, I just looked something up just not too long ago, and Tex only needs about 10, 12 subscribers to hit that 6,000 turn. Yes, that's right, Mr. Tex Wesson, a handful of folks away from 6,000 subs. If you're not subscribed to Tex, please do that. Please do that. Subscribe to the Blondie and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Donnie Cho says stuff. Monica Rollins, our Paranormal World, Paranormal Paul, Truth or Tinfoil. Daniel Diva, she's on YouTube. I always forget somebody. I don't think I did. All the usual suspects. All of us guys from the mysterious land of the Misfit Toys. We have that conference coming up. Get your tickets today, 19th and 20th of September. 2-day event. We've got parties. We've got ghost hunts. We've got speakers, special guests. It's going to be quite the extravaganza. Check that out. Of course, the Super Chat's open. A great way to help support what we all do around here. Thank you in advance. You, too, can become a BMR pirate. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. Join today. You get a picture of a good old BMR in the chat room, sporting a bandana next to yourself in the chat room. I also want to briefly thank all the people out there that bought my books that you can find on YouTube, on Amazon. On Amazon, Bigfoot Michiganrob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1 and Book 2. Simply type Bigfoot Michiganrob in your Amazon browser. Leave a review if you've bought it. Thank you. And, of course, you can find us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, wherever podcasts are found. It's under one blanket umbrella now. I think it's called the Island of the Misfit Toys, and you can pull up every single one of our shows, from Tex to Rob to all the girls, Donnie, Paul, everybody. So, yeah, go check that out. So thanks for coming on in, everybody. And not going to waste any more time. Oh, it looks like Tex. Mr. Tex, 5 more pirates, courtesy of Mr. Weston. Thanks, Tex.
You're welcome, brother.
I appreciate that. Man, I'm kind of excited. I was just cruising on the YouTube in the back in our little, area that we go on. Mm-hmm. Man, Tex, you're about 10 away, man. 6,000. 6,000. We're going to get that this week, no problem. Hopefully we get it tonight or today. But most of the people in the chat room, everyone's our subscribers. So, but yeah, man, you'll get that. I'm looking forward to you hitting that nice little milestone. I guess the milestone really is 10,000. I guess it goes 5, 10. Now what, 25? But hey, but
Yeah.
every
Well,
1,000
you
you
ain't
turn.
far behind me.
Yeah, thanks. I am about a 240 away from 6,000 now.
Yeah.
So I'll be there. Hopefully this summer I get there. Yeah. So we're all growing, and thanks to everybody that supports us, per usual. So Tex, how you feeling? I know I always make mention of your work schedule, and I know that you get off, you get home like 8 in the morning, man, on Thursdays. It's like that's got to be brutal.
Yeah, I work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So
Yeah.
and Wednesdays are my Mondays. So
Yeah, Wednesdays are your Mondays. Yeah,
Wednesdays are my Mondays. But I can't bitch about my schedule because I work 3 days one week and I work 4 days the next. So, hey.
yeah, there's trade-offs, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's actually a great schedule, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, it's hard. You couldn't beat it with a stick, man. I'm telling you.
You know, like
And
firemen.
I'm a night owl anyway, so
Yeah, you are. You do the night owl show. You got the night owl show, and you've got you've been doing that on what, Wednesday nights or something like that.
Tuesday nights.
Tuesday nights, and then of course Monday, and then you
Yes,
had
sir.
to eliminate talking weird, right? Because you just can't get around and do that, or you still do that. I don't know.
I hadn't done it in a while, but I'm working on bringing it back. So I just ain't figured out what morning I want to do it, because I'm either going to do it. I can do it. Well, I never know what I'm going to be doing on the weekend. So,
Right.
Um,
Yeah, like
I
when
could
I
do
do
it
this.
either Monday or Tuesday morning, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
I
that's
can
cool.
find somebody to co-host with me.
Oh, in the mornings, right? Yeah. That's well. Yeah.
Drag you out of bed.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah. I
drag
heard.
you out of bed
Yeah,
early.
I heard what you said on that. Well, that's Wednesday morning, though, right?
Mm-mm.
Or whatever. Did you say
Monday or
Wednesday?
Tuesday mornings.
Ooh, Monday morning. Well, you have. Monday. Well, we'll see. I'll have to. Yeah, send me the schedule. I guess. If you want to go with that, we'll. I can
Yeah, we'll talk
probably.
about it.
We'll talk about it. There's a couple things today I wanted to talk about really for the show. I do have something. I found this written affidavit from a couple decades ago where this guy was actually in a courtroom and swore before a judge about this Bigfoot encounter. And it's actually written, it's kind of a written story, an affidavit this guy read to the people in the courtroom. I might get into that a little later. I just hate reading things because I like to do everything from memory. But since this was an actual governmental record, I would probably prefer to read it because I'll forget. I can't remember everything. But that we might do that. We'll see how much time we have left. But I wanted to talk to you about something. And I don't
Holy
know
crap.
what.
I am now 6 away. I don't know who did that, but thank you.
Whoa. Well, see that?
Project
Sweet.
Cryptid says I think they did something for me. Thank you.
Well,
I
thanks,
appreciate that.
Project Cryptid. Thanks. If you're just coming on in, Tex now needs about 4 subs or so, right, Tex? Hit the
6
magical
more.
6
6
more for
more.
Tex. Hit 6,000. Let's try to do that on this show. Thank you for that. And
That's
that'd
awesome.
be
Thank
awesome.
you.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. I see Larry Sharp's in the house. Starlog is new. Hi, Starlog. If you're new, please subscribe to my channel as well. Sweetly Morbid, Val always in here. Project Cryptid, Mr. Finch always in here. I mentioned my cool dog's in here. So yeah, Andres. So Tracy. Hi, Tracy. How are you? Danny Staten, of course, always in here. Michelle Wilfong. Hi, Roger Blair. So yeah, they're piling in a little bit. So cool. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, I think it's kind of controversial. And I said, well, what the heck? I'll just share it because there's two sides to this story. In text, it does take place in Michigan, but it's kind of weird because I came across this a couple weeks ago, and it's in the Upper Peninsula, but not really. If for those unfamiliar with the UP, Copper, if you look on the map, you got the Upper Peninsula, and if you travel west on the map, and then at the end of the Upper Peninsula, it kind of looks like an animal with a horn spike, and that spike goes way up to Copper Harbor. And at this peak of Copper Harbor, there's an island called Presque Isle Island, which is on Lake Superior. And it takes about 30 minutes to get there, depending on how volatile the waves are on Superior, because they can whip up at any time. And it's like all the Great Lakes are like an ocean, but Superior gets those 20-foot waves at times, you know. And so, but the thing about this national park is the least visited because of its location in all of the country's national parks, least visited. However, there's something about the island that for every person that goes there, they're the number one national park in the United States with repeat folks to come back and visit it. So it just depends on, once you get there, you're hooked. The thing about this island is inhabited by many moose. You can see a moose literally as soon as you walk out your little cottage that they rent. And it's also a big wolf preserve, a lot of wolf, and populated.
Awesome. I'd go.
I would go just to see the moose and the wolves, really, you know.
What city you need to go?
And it's a beautiful island. If you go YouTube it, it's exquisite, right? And
what's the name of it?
Presque Isle.
What?
Presque, yeah. It's like, you know, it's all like Presque Isle, Presque Isle, Isle, or Presque Island. So it's an awesome place. Yeah, it's definitely a place I would definitely visit. So now the report that I found on regular news wires was this: about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a man and his son, they hiked 12 miles into this national forest. So they were they're in the middle of nowhere, and they report, and after 24 hours they were reported missing, and they were never found. A week later, it turns up in reports put out by the DNR and other authorities that the two men were found, and they had marked it off and said that it was unfortunately the father took his son. He unalived his son and then unalived himself. Unalived, got to see on YouTube, I guess. I don't know, but whatever. You guys get the point. And that was the report. And then I was getting from other sources reports that was just the story behind this text. They were saying that it was something more nefarious, something that wasn't of the human hand. Now, I did mention that wolves were involved, but they had made mention that it wasn't a typical wolf attack by some of the wounds on the guys that were found. They were totally mutilated. And the thing about these two bodies, I guess a lot of times, Tex, I'm not familiar, but if a wolf attacks a person, they tend to eat away at it and all at the meat, because that's why they would hunt you down, I would guess.
Oh yeah, they'll chew on you.
They'll chew on you. They'll chew. I heard they chewed your innards, right? You like the liver, the heart, and all that, or whatever.
Actually, the first thing it's not pleasant, man. I mean, in the way.
Okay, well, yeah, well, go ahead. Yeah.
They start from the. They'll if they don't rip your belly out first, they'll eat you from the ass end all the way in.
Yeah, not a pleasant way to go.
No.
Well, needless to say, none of the things that Tex described happened. Allegedly, some of these bodies were found, but again, not unlike a murder suicide. I mean, I'm just going to say that. I mean, I don't think I'll get flagged. Just got it out there. It wasn't that, according to some reports I was getting from people that live in Michigan, that the bodies were savagely torn apart. And the unusual thing about it was that text that there was not any, the body was not eaten at all. It was just almost
No
like
predation.
No predation. Thank you. Yeah, nothing. And different, and the limbs are strewn about within a half a mile radius. You're finding body parts, and they notice, and they know the wolf tracks. So again, wolves are known to be there. There's no discussion that they're not there. They're put there as part of the preserve. But these tracks that they found, Tex, were unlike the wolves of Presque Isle. Many of them they found were a lot bigger, quadrupedic. A lot of them were quadrupedic, but then they seen prints though that he had strides of 4.5 to 5 feet, and they were bipedal and a lot bigger, markings and paw prints in the ground, which some people speculate it was some sort of cryptid. Now, 2 years ago, well, actually, in book 1 of BMR, I did a Presque Isle. I had a Bigfoot encounter about these people seeing a Bigfoot on the island. That it came out, it showed itself. At first, they thought it was a moose because there's a lot of moose on this island. And then they said, no, this was not a moose. This was a human being covered in hair walking about that was at least 7 foot tall, taller than any moose. Now, some moose standing on all fours, Tex, can get to be 6-7 foot tall. So that was speculated. Maybe it was a moose, but these guys claim it was a Bigfoot. Now, this
you're talking about a 2,000-pound animal, a big bull moose.
Yes, yeah, and there was allegedly saw by these campers, and but they said no, it was not a moose. We know what a moose looks like. In fact, they were one of these returning visitors just because of the moose. They just love that environment. They said this was no moose. And that was several years ago. But there was never any reports, and I've dug into a lot of the Presque Isle since I've lived in Michigan because it's a very fascinating place, but never anything about a werewolf or dogman sighting. Now, the report that I got regarding this reminds me of something cryptid. Now, again, I'm not saying this even happened. It could have been made up for all I know, because the reports that you will find on the internet make no mention of this. I got this from some person that lives in Michigan that's been on the show once or twice, and didn't want me to mention his name. You know who he is. I'll tell you off air. Was telling me, no, Rob, I think it was a cryptid, possibly a dog man.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. And that's the thing about reporting on things like this is I don't like reporting on things that are totally speculative. But then again, Tex, a lot of things we talk about is speculation.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
This is really, to me, no different. So I'm wondering, I don't know, what do you think? You think it was more of what's being reported, or you think maybe something else is out there? Now, the island is pretty big, and it's a beautiful forest. I mean, they hiked 11 miles in from their cottage, so it's very spacious, and it's in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I found some stuff.
Okay.
So, Presque Isle in Michigan, there is a missing persons page for this. There's quite a few people that have turned up missing and found dead and everything else on this place. There's a woman that went missing. She was 56 at the time. She would be 66 now. There's a guy that went missing. He was 47. He'd be 58 now. There was a young woman that went missing. She was 29. She'd be 42 now. Another guy, 34. He would be 53 now. This kid went missing in last year, and he was 16. and that's not all. I mean, there's people that's been found dead over there, and
Of any of these reports, Tex, are any of the bodies ever been recovered, or when you say missing, are they like missing and with no, they have not been found, or
well, some of them been found. There's one man that was found deceased on his property. Um, there's another guy that's still. All those I read a while ago were still missing.
mm,
Um, there was one guy that was found safe. He had a traumatic brain injury. They found him safe. Um, there's another guy that's missing. But there's a lot that went missing. Let's see if I can bring this page up. There seems to be. Let's see, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21,
oh,
22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 that I can see right now that have went missing and are still missing on that island. Some of them have been, that's not counting the ones that have been found, dead and otherwise.
wow.
So that island has quite the reputation.
Maybe that's why nobody visits it. Although, if you've been there once, you go back there again, right?
Kind of
That's
makes you wonder what draws you back.
yeah. Well, if you guys, well, in your spare time, Tex, just go on YouTube and watch a video or whatever. I mean, it is beautiful. I mean, it is. It's hard to get to. The boat
Right.
ride is rough. It's on Lake Superior, and this island is surrounded by Lake Superior, and it's very. But once you get there, it's a nice place to go. And they've got a restaurant on there, a bar on there, a lot of nature trails, and again,
They've got B&Bs that you can rent,
yeah,
beachfront property, and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's one. I saw one popped up for $460 a night. It's. But yeah, evidently, let's see, how big is this place? Let's see here. Um, 678 square miles is how big this thing is.
so it's not exactly
It,
small.
it's actually located along Lake Huron
Hmm.
on northeast. Now wait a minute. This is okay. So according to this, it's in it. Well, this is county, Presque Isle County. That's not what I want. Presque Isle. I'm gonna go island and see
Yeah, because
Presque
Huron is
State Park.
due east of there, because that's due east of there.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. 323 acres.
Okay.
So yeah, that is that's not big at all. I mean, you're
Right.
talking about a place that is a third of the size of Dogman Ranch, where we've been doing our investigations.
Wow. See, so I didn't think it was that big. And that's why they said that it's very easy to find moose and wolves because
Actually,
of
it's
the,
less than a third.
yeah. So, and you know what's odd about that? What you just reported on here, a lot of these people that turned up missing have not been found. You would think that they could comb that island pretty readily.
That's not a big place. I mean, it's really not.
And that does make sense to the fact that you can easily spot a wolf or a moose because the size. They got nowhere to roam, right? I mean, I mean, to you and I walking through it is big, but for these animals, it's not big at all.
No. Yeah, it is. So the park is northwest of Marquis itself on an oval-shaped peninsula reaching out. Oh, it's on a peninsula. It's not. It's actually connected to the land. It's not an actual island.
Hmm. Yeah, but you got to take a ferry boat ride to get there. I don't get that.
Yeah, we're getting some weird information here because none of this is matching up.
Because I just watched a video when I found this report. I typed on YouTube and they showed an actual tour where they put a person on it. They had like a bunch of people, 20 people on a ferry, and it was a 20-minute ride to get to this place. And the one I'm referring to was Lake Superior. Now, Lake Huron is due east of there, which isn't even close at all to up there by Copper Harbor, which is way in the Upper Peninsula. A lot of these island chains are all Native American names, and a lot of them are similar. So I'm guessing that's kind of what it's kind of like misidentification, like a cryptid.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, huh? Go ahead.
Oh, never mind. I'm just go ahead, brother.
No, but regardless of all that, though, with these missing people, this place in Michigan, I find it to be kind of odd. So the story the two different versions of the story I got, I can see where very easily it could be one or the other then, especially when you just brought up the fact that there's been missing people not recovered. That to me is odd for something that's not all that big.
Yeah. If they're missing in the same place now, because I was looking up some other, that other stuff was popping up, so that may be.
Yeah, well, Presque Island. The clipping that I got was from actually the one where they took a ferry boat ride 20 minutes up. But regardless of all that, I'm gonna have to further dive into this now. And
absolutely.
But how can you account for? I mean, so they made mention of this, of course, this father and the son, and then they find these weird footprints.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it is all of a sudden Mexican. It is Michigan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not.
It's not uncommon for Michigan. The dog.
No,
man.
it's not at all. Dogman is not uncommon for Michigan at all.
Well, regardless, the place I'd probably like to visit one day.
Oh, I'd go
because of just simply because of Mother Nature and the wildlife out there.
Well, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. And what you're looking at, that's an island, though, right? Are you looking at the peninsula?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. What I'm looking here because this keeps bringing up the peninsula for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, because the one I'm talking about definitely. Well, we're spending too much on where it is exactly, but the one I read was ferry boat ride, Lake Superior, this, that, and the other. But
right.
Regardless, what I'm talking about though here is like when you get these reports and people tell stories. Why is that Texas always a mixed-up story? Why is there's always one that's always reported as being a human, and then the undertones of the DNR and the whispers, somehow they leak this stuff out. Why does that seem to be such a common thing in your opinion?
Well, we get dropped little nuggets every once in a while. And along with that, I think we get dropped false information.
Yeah, Don Presque. Again, we might have been spelling it wrong. Presque Isle. He spells it Presque.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird. But
Because there's a national park and there's a state park.
Okay.
Let's see. Lake. You said Lake Superior, right?
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I read. And that's the only one I knew of.
Yeah, I keep every time I do a search for it, it pops up that
well,
pops up that peninsula thing.
yeah. Well, Isle, ISLE. I mean, Isle to me is more island than peninsula. There's two different things, but regardless,
Well, they
I guess
call it the island, but the locals call it the island, and it's called the Isle, Presque Isle Park,
mm,
and it is on Lake Superior.
okay. Well, this is where the yeah. So
interesting.
yeah, it is interesting. And why do you? So if we just revert back to other things we've talked about, why do you think it's so much? Why do you think that? Okay, I'm not even going to say why do you think. There's just too much cover up going on, right? When it comes to these
Absolutely.
cryptids. You think it's just because of the money? They don't want to scare you away?
Well, I think that's a big part of it. Tourism is a big part of it. But one, as far as the Bigfoot thing, I mean, that would scare a lot of people, yeah, but not as much as you finding out you had a werewolf basically walking around. I don't think they'll ever come off of that.
I'd still go though.
Oh, I would too.
Scott M just got a 30-foot boat. He wants to go to Dogman Island. I will have to get in touch with you, Scott, because I'd love to go to Dogman Island.
There you go.
Yeah, Scott, it's about you can dock the boat. That place is like 20 minutes driving to, and then we'd have to launch the vessel. That'd be interesting. For everybody that's new, I did a couple shows on Dogman Island, which is a creepy story. Took place in just outside of Groseal on a chain of islands. And this one island in particular is allegedly Dogman roamed that island as well. And there was reports a long time ago. I did something with Jessica Jones. She did a remote view, and she suggested from what she saw that they were put there, made there, and dropped off as an experiment. Who knows?
So Presque Isle Park's history is as rich as its landscape. The name Presque Isle is French for almost an island.
Okay.
It's peninsula-like formation jutting out in Lake Superior. Park was established in the 19th century and has been since treasured natural space for both residents and visitors. I don't know, man.
Meadow Dream just subscribed to you. Meadow Dream looks like a new person here as well. Thanks, Meadow, for subbing for Tex. I assume you subbed to this channel. Hopefully you did. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to everybody. Tex, where are you at, Tex?
6,000 right there.
All right, Meadow Dream, you get the bonus prize today. I think you must have been number 6,000 for Tex. Congratulations, Tex.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody helped out Tex get to that 6,000. Yes, awesome. Congratulations.
Y'all are awesome.
Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Just made this show for me. Thank you so much. Awesome. Now, of course, when we end the show, you'll be at 5,999. Of course, it always happens. It's like minus, how that goes. But thanks.
Yeah, I had to bounce up and down about 10 to 15 for a couple of weeks, and then it'll settle back out over 6,000.
All right. Well, I'm going to put that one to bed, Tex, because, that's very interesting. I read it, and Presque Isle is something worth taking a look at because of all the different variations. But again, something happened. Either it was a person either a father took the life of his son then himself, and other reports that come in are it was something else, but not a natural wolf, something different. And
Well, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I would
I'll
not
put it
be
that way.
surprised either way. Again, some things are for real and some things are just. And the thing about it, if this did not happen, that's a shame that people are leaking this. Because I already
Yeah.
made mention that this place is the least visited park in all of North America, and that doesn't help the reputation. So that's kind of a sham if that's indeed what happened.
You know what? But if you think about it, the whole Michigan as a whole,
Mm.
I mean, is full of cryptid stories. I mean, you got not just you got Bigfoot, you got dog man, werewolf, whatever you want to call it. You've got lake monsters.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, y'all got it all.
we even had a shark in the Detroit River. It didn't.
That doesn't surprise me.
It did not last. It didn't live very long. Because see what you can do is here in the state of Michigan. Also, a thing that people don't know is you can get on a vessel, you can get on a boat, and you can hit the St. Lawrence Seaway. You get on the St. Lawrence Seaway, which you can access right here from my state, and that will take you right to the ocean. So the Seaway, the St. Lawrence Seaway, is made up of salt water and natural flowing non-salt water. And if it dumps into the ocean, they suggest a lot of these sharks and other creatures of the ocean get caught up in that and get taken down into the Great Lakes.
Right.
And there was a story about a shark attacking men, nudging up and blasting into a boat, and knocking these guys into the Detroit River. Now they were not harmed, but oddly enough, a day and a half later, a bull shark came up on shore, an actual bull shark. So
Yeah. Well, if anything's going to live in that brackish water, it's going to be a bull shark.
bull shark, I think, can live in non-seawater. Or
Yeah.
what do you call what do you call if it's not seawater? What do you call it? Just water?
Well, it's where salt water and freshwater mix. It's called brackish.
Oh, okay.
And
Is that you again, Tex?
Yeah.
Thought
I'd
Tex.
celebrate the 6,000.
Yeah, thanks, Tex. 5 more member pirates. Thanks, Tex.
But they've been. I mean, bull sharks will come all the way up into Mississippi, the Brazos. Once they get acclimated, they can live in fresh water. But it just depends. I mean, that's how the whole Jaws thing got started. It was a bull shark. It wasn't a great white. It was a bull shark that swam up into the river and killed a bunch of people. It was probably several bull sharks, honestly. But it killed some kids. It killed a couple other people, and but that's the real story behind Jaws.
Oh yeah. Also, a tidbit on Jaws. That is I know it's you're and I think it was my favorite movie of all time. I rank it number 1. I think you have it in the top 3, Tex. And I might have told you this before since we're both Jaws fans. Did you know that when they had the stand-ins, because a lot of the beach scenes they paid people like $50 or come to the beach and walk around when they did a lot of the scenes.
Right.
And do you know that during this time when this was being filmed in the 70s, it was released in 76, and I think they shot it in 74, 75.
Right.
And in the 70s, as you well know, Tex, you're big into the serial killer movement. And that was a big thing in the 70s. Now, this wasn't a specified run-of-the-mill that we've heard about all the time, serial killer. But the FBI was going over, somebody from the FBI, very astute, was going through and watching that movie, and then got a breakdown on the film because he saw a person on the beach was a person of that they there was a person of interest in serial killings, and this person showed up and was caught on the film, and he found this serial killer that was actually in as a fill-in on the beach in the movie and was arrested, and later it was proven that yeah, he was responsible for several murders, not in that area, on a different side of the country. That's something you should dig into and research a little bit, because I don't remember the name. I just remember reading that a few years ago. I think Breezy heard about it too. Of all, Breezy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Breezy did hear about it.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning it.
Yeah. So thanks to everybody that helped Texas 6,000 subscribers. That's awesome. If you're new, please subscribe to Tex and Rob. If you're new, I see a lot of new folks in here. Thank you so much. So I'm going to move on a little bit, Tex, because when I tell, I got a story. Now, most people who follow me know I do stories, and I usually get them from emailers, and I usually try to memorize them and tell them. But this, I'm doing something a little different today, Tex. I'm going to read this simply because it's a sworn affidavit, a governmental paper with a little story, and didn't bother to memorize it because it was I didn't want to screw it up. So I'm going to read it, but it's very interesting, and it's a good story. And this takes place, it's kind of a classic Bigfoot. And there was witnesses, and this guy told this to people in the government and everything. And I think this is as legit as it can be. And this is it's from William Rowe. It's his sworn affidavit. And actually, I found this in a copy of John Green's book. Do you remember John Green, the big time, old time Bigfoot researcher? And he told this story to John Green. And this is an affidavit that I got from the book. So I don't, plagiarize myself. This is not me. I'm giving John Green the credit for this. So I'm going to go through this. It's very interesting. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. Please hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks to Tex for the pirate members, super chats, and the pirate memberships are open. So here's what this goes on to say. IWW.row of the city of Edmonton in the province of Alberta make an oath and say that Exhibits 1A attached to this is my affidavit is absolutely true and correct in all details. Sworn before me in the city of Edmonton, province of Alberta, this 26th day of August, 1957, everybody.
That's a decade before Danielle lives, is Edmonton.
Okay. Danielle's probably familiar with this. I don't think she was born yet, but 1957, this is a decade before the Patty film. And this was signed by William Rowe, and it was also signed by W.H. Clark, assistant claims agent, with his badge number and his ID, DD2822. And Exhibit A, and again, this is in a, before Congress or a governmental body. Thanks, Kelly Sandifer. She is the pride of Canada. And she yes, Tex. See, Tex, you got, I know you got your work hours. They love us. Thanks, really Kelly. Love you too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. So back to this. And this is cool because he goes on and says, ever since I was a small boy back in the forests of Michigan, I've studied the lives and habits of wild animals. Later, when I supported my family in northern Alberta by hunting and trapping, I spent many hours just observing the wild things. They fascinated me. But the most incredible experience I ever had with a wild creature occurred near a little town called Tete Jaune Cache, British Columbia, about 80 miles west of Jasper, Alberta. I had been working on the highway near Tete Jaune Cache for about 2 years in October of 1955. And everybody, this is what he's telling the government, okay? So this is this is in front of a court system. I decided to climb 5 miles up Mika Mountain to an old deserted mine just for something to do. I came in sight of the mine about 3 o'clock in the afternoon after an easy climb. I had just come out of a path of low brush into a clearing when I saw what I thought was a grizzly bear in the bush on the other side. I had shot a grizzly near there and near that spot the year before. This one was only about 75 yards away, but I didn't want to shoot it, for I had no way of getting it out. So I sat down on a small rock and watched with my rifle in my hand. I could see part of the animal's head and the top of one shoulder. A moment later, it raised up and stepped out into the opening. Then I saw it was not a bear. This, to the best of my recollection, is what the creature looked like and how it acted as it came across the clearing directly toward me. My first impression was of a huge man, about 6 feet tall, almost 3 feet wide, and probably weighing somewhere near 300 pounds. It was covered from head to toe with dark brown, silver tipped hair. But as it came closer, I saw by its breasts that it was a female. The Mika Mountain Sasquatch, drawn under Rose's direction by his daughter, and I saw the drawing. It really is something weird looking. And yet its torso was not curved like a female's. Its broad frame was straight from shoulder to hip. Its arms were much thicker than a man's arms and longer, reaching almost to its knees. Its feet were broader proportionately than a man's, about 5 inches wide at the front and tapering to much thinner heels. When it walked, it placed the heel of its foot down first, and I could see the gray-brown skin or hide on the soles of its feet. It came to the edge of the bush I was hiding in, within 20 feet of me, and squatted down on its haunches. Reaching out its hands, it pulled the branches of bushes toward it and stripped the leaves with its teeth. Its lips curled flexibly around the leaves as it ate. I was close enough to see that its teeth were white and even. The shape of this creature's head somewhat resembled that of a black man. The head was higher at the back than at the front. The nose was broad and flat. The lips and chin protruded farther than its nose, but the hair that covered it, leaving bare only the parts of its face around the mouth. Nose and ears made it resemble an animal as much as a human. None of this hair, even on the back of its head, was longer than an inch, and that on its face was much shorter. Its ears were shaped like humans' ears, but its eyes were small and black like a bear's. And its neck also was unhuman, thicker and shorter than any man's that I'd ever seen. As I watched this creature, I wondered if some movie company was making a film at this place, and that what I saw was an actor, made up to look partly human and partly animal. But as I observed it more, I decided it would be impossible to fake such a specimen. Anyway, I learned later there was no such company near that area, nor in fact did anyone live up in Mika Mountain, according to the people who lived in Tete Jane Cache. Finally, the wild thing must have got my scent, for it looked directly at me and through an opening in the brush. A look of amazement crossed its face. It looked so comical at the moment that I had to grin. Still, in a crouched position, it backed up 3 or 4 short steps, then straightened up to its full height and started to walk rapidly back the way it had come. For a moment, it watched me over its shoulder as it went away, not exactly afraid, but as though it wanted no contact with anything strange. The thought came to me that if I shot it, I would possibly have to have a specimen of a great interest to scientists all over the world. I had heard stories of the Sasquatch, the giant hairy Indians that live in the legends of British Columbia, the Columbian Indians, and also many claim are still in fact there today. Again, this is in 1957, everybody. Maybe this was a Sasquatch, I told myself. I leveled my rifle. The creature was still walking rapidly away, again turning his head to look in my direction. I lowered the rifle, although I have called the creature it. I felt now that it was a human being, and I knew I would never forgive myself if I killed it. Just as it came to the other patch of brush, it threw its head back and made a peculiar noise that seemed to be half laugh and half language, in which I can only describe as a kind of whining. Then it walked from the small brush into a stand of a lodge pole pine. I stepped out into the opening and looked across a small ridge just beyond the pine to see if I could see it again. It came out on the ridge a couple of 100 yards from me, tipped its head back again, and again emitted the only sound I heard it make. But what this half laugh, half language was I meant to convey, I do not know. It disappeared again, and I never saw it again. I wanted to find out if it lived on vegetation entirely or ate meat as well. So I went down and looked for signs. I found it in 5 different places, and although I examined it thoroughly, could find no hair or shells or bugs or insects, so I believe it was strictly a vegetarian. I found one place where it had slept for a couple of nights under a tree. Now the nights were cool up in the mountains at this time of year especially, and yet it had not used a fire. I found no sign that it possessed even the simplest of tools nor a single companion while in this place. Whether this was a Sasquatch, I do not know. It will always remain a mystery to me unless another one is found. I hereby declare the above statement to be in every part true to the best of my powers in observation and recollection. Signed, William Rowe. And this was taken from excerpts from Ivan T. Sanderson, Abominable Snowman book, Legend Come to Life, and also excerpts from the book from John Green. So, yeah, I had to read that, everybody. I couldn't memorize that, and I didn't want to because I read it as it was written for this affidavit. And I got to tell you, Tex, a lot of that reminds me of Patty. Well, first, before we get into that, what's your thoughts on that?
You know, one of the things that jumped out at me was the describe the eyes as small dark eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and normally that's not. We hear the exact opposite: big dark eyes.
Yes.
So this may be a little bit different here. But I don't. I mean, it sounds like just one of those sightings that is that we've heard many times before. You know, a hunter running across these critters, and just thought about pulling the trigger, but once they got a good look at it, it was too human, and then they couldn't shoot it.
Yeah.
You know, I do think these things are an offshoot of humans. They're still finding other subspecies of humans out there. They just keep finding them, They found one. The one I read about a day or two ago. According to what they have found, as far as the DNA, this new subspecies of human doesn't have any descendants that connects to us, which is, yeah. So I think we're slowly uncovering stuff that has been. I think they're slowly releasing things that they've known for a long, long time, because, and I think we're on the cusp of disclosure as far as Bigfoot goes. I think there's a lot of different. I can't say species. I don't know what to call them, but I don't think like we talked about. You know, they're as different as you and I. You know, and maybe it's just different. Races, for a lack of a better term, like we have Caucasian, white, and black, and Asian. You know, I
Mm.
mean, maybe it's the same thing with Bigfoot. I think it could be. Why wouldn't it be?
I
You know,
always thought, even long ago, that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, if you will, I think they're not the same. It's not the same to me. Space. It's not this. It's not the species of a cougar or an ape, right? I think they're
right?
different, just much like you and I.
Yeah,
I think there's that human element because oftentimes we've heard about hunters say, "Hey, I got it up in my line of vision with my rifle. I
right.
was ready to pull a trigger. Then I seen that face,
Yep.
and they said, I would felt like I can't do it because I'd feel in an odd way like I was taking the life of a human,
Mm-hmm.
even though it does. It's distinctly not a human, but the look about the face, hey, I don't hate talking about my story. The thing I saw in the beginning oddly looked human. Oddly,
Right.
I mean, a little weird human, and then we all know what happened after that. But and even we always talk about one of our favorite Art Bell about bugs, right?
So, yeah, bugs. Yeah,
But
yeah,
bugs still pull the trigger though, allegedly.
yeah. Well, and believe that story or don't, you know that's they did. They did pull the trigger and they killed two of them. And according to them, they were so scared that they would be popped for murder that they buried him and didn't tell anybody. Because they look so human.
Yeah.
So, and I do. I think they're an offshoot of humans. I really do.
There's
I
human in
think
them
they're a
somewhere.
people of some kind.
Yeah. I think, a lot of you always some folks like Robin McCrae, a few others that I've
Mhm.
talked with in the past, even Christie, ancient people. I mean, I
Mhm.
can see that,
Yeah.
but I can also see a race of human beings that just are actual humans, like the wild man. I don't know if that still
Right.
goes on today, Tex. I mean,
So I
I
think it
doubt
does.
it, but you
I think
think
it
it
does.
does.
Oh
You do
yeah.
think it does.
There's feral humans out there. I
Okay.
mean, they still run into them, especially in the Appalachians. Places like that. Um, it doesn't when you don't have nothing. It doesn't take long to become what we call feral because you have to if you're going to survive. You know, you have to become vicious and eat anything that you can catch. You know, and that's why I do not think these things are vegetarians. They're
No.
omnivores. They're opportunists. That's why we hear reports of them dumpster diving even. One of the famous reports comes out of Oklahoma that that security footage that was talked about and then disappeared at the casino where they found him. They caught one on security cam digging through the deep grease trap
Mm,
out behind the casino. And
that's yeah. Oddly enough, Tex, I probably told you this a long time ago. In Detroit, there's parts of the Detroit River wraps around all of the suburbs and runs through Detroit, runs through
right,
downtown Detroit. But there's a lot of the inner cities of Detroit that also are the river runs through. And when I
right,
say the inner cities, everybody, I'm talking about there'll be a McDonald's, and all of a sudden the rest of the land it's just burnt down buildings, burnt down homes,
mhm,
and just and nobody even cleans it up. I mean, they're doing their best, but Detroit, there's certain parts of Detroit, it's just a total mess.
right,
And right before you get to these really abandoned areas, there was a McDonald's. There was a report from Detroit, and this is several years ago, right off of the river, okay, where they seen this huge hair covered person dumpster diving in the McDonald's, and it was ravaged and eating through all of the discarded McDonald's. And
yeah,
they said it was not it wasn't a homeless person. I mean, if it was, he was well fed. They said because it was humongous in stature. and could not make it out because all it had was his dark black hair, and it was just going about his business, ignoring folks, right?
Right.
And of course, at this McDonald's, I don't think there was cameras back when this took place. This was like a decade ago, and quite frankly, I don't know if they could afford closed circuit cameras for some of these spots, even if it was McDonald's.
Well, a lot of places, even today, they have the cameras mounted, but they don't work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Even in modern times, you walk in a gas station, gets robbed. Oh, geez, I didn't have the camera on.
Yeah.
What they do is they'll reuse. Well, today probably not anymore, but many years ago, a lot of these unsolved crimes in Detroit was because they had the videotape. But what the owner of the shop would do, he'd replay the same cassette over and over, and the footage was so grainy you couldn't tell it was a man, woman, child, or beast.
Right.
Now today everything's digitized, I believe. So I mean, and it's very clear.
You're more apt to catch some. You're more apt. Of course, technology's gotten cheaper and more reliable, and like you said, so it's more likely today to be, get caught or be, something get caught like that, like we're talking about. And it's odd that it doesn't. Now why all of a sudden, when we have the technology, do we not hear these stories?
That's a great point. That is odd, isn't it?
I think the last one that really came out was the DOD footage of the possible Bigfoot out on the freaking highway, and it was caught by one of the DOD cameras.
Really? Yeah. I didn't hear about that story. What happened there?
They just caught something on the camera. They can't identify it, but it looks like what everybody describes as a Bigfoot, so it could be. I don't know. But yeah, look it up. I've got it somewhere on the channel too. But
okay, I'll check that out. It also amazes me too about, we've heard these before too, texts about, of course, it's always in some, highway less traveled that runs through the woods, and the police are on the scene, the fire department's on the scene, and somebody hits something, and they didn't hit a moose, they didn't hit a deer, they hit something big, and then right on the scene, and all the cameras and film is going while it's there, and they say allegedly it was not a bear or deer, it was like a Bigfoot, in some cases even a dog man, which I've heard, and everybody's there flashing away, and some of these reports leak. But how come Texas always is, when you get the official report from the sheriff's department, typically it's who it is. Yes, John Doe hit a bear, and the bear was removed from the scene.
Yeah.
But in the unfolding stories surrounding it, helicopters were flown in, and whatever it was that was hit was put in a net or a gurney and lifted or put on the back of a semi-trailer and taken out of there. They don't do that for a deer. They don't do that for a bear. They do it for something they were not supposed to know about.
Right.
And these governmental officials must think that we're all just, ignorant.
I'm going to drop the link to that DOD footage in the chat.
Okay, cool. I see a lot of new people in here. Please subscribe. A lot of you helped Tex hit 6,000 subscribers today. Thank you guys so much, man.
Appreciate awesome. That, man.
I mentioned it earlier, and Tex, you hit it. If you're new, subscribe to Bigfoot Michiganrob, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal podcast as well. They'll be on tonight and Friday night. That's their nights. And so yeah, Tex, I'm stoked for that for you, man. I really am. So that's awesome.
Man, I appreciate that. It's been a long time coming, and onward to 10,000. I've been doing this for a while, and It's nice to see it growing, man. It really is.
No, it is very nice. I'm stoked for all of us. I'm stoked for you. You got me involved with this. I was supposed to be a sports channel, and then I turned it into a cryptid channel. Thanks for that. And the blondes are taking off pretty nicely. And so we're all, and all of us other guys that we've picked up along during the years. But that's awesome to see that. But yeah, you're right. It's like 5,000 is 1,000, then 5,000, and 6 is great. But really, the next big goal is 10,000. You said whoever we got to have a big party. It's probably going to be a couple years out though when we hit the 10,000 mark, when one of us hits it.
Yeah, next we got to get you up to 6,000 now.
Yeah, I got to get there. I'm about 240 away from 6,000. So yeah, that'll be a little while yet, probably through the summer, but that'll be sweet.
I bet you hit it before the conference. What do you think?
My goal is hit 6,000 before the conference. Yes, that's definitely a goal. I'd love to go in there with 6K in my pocket along with you, so we can boast about having 12,000 combined. And then you tack on the blondes, that would be damn near. That'd be over 15. Hell, if you do all the Misfit toys, I gotta tell you something. Collectively, between all of us, the Misfits, we've got a subscriber base of over. Think about it though, Texas, pretty cool. Of over 20,000.
Yeah. Yep.
So
absolutely.
So thanks to everybody for that.
Yeah, thank you. It means a lot. And I will be dreaming about all of you shortly.
Yeah, you will. We're going to wrap it up a little bit, Tex. I know you're tired. And I got this thunderstorm movie. And those are the stories I had for today. Might be a little shorter segment today because I got the lights flickering and I got to take care of some business. But is there anything, I don't want to cut it that early, though. It's still hour 9 only. We've been doing this. What, I haven't really seen you in a while. Is there anything different that I haven't heard of going on I don't think I heard any of the newest Dogman Ranch stuff.
The latest thing that's come out of Dogman Ranch is, of course, the crawler thing. And, we did our first, exploratory dive, snorkeling trip there. And of course, I had my hopes up, and because normally that water's crystal clear. We got over there, it had been raining, water was murky. You had about an arm's length of visibility, but we went ahead and made a dive anyway. And but I'm looking forward to getting back out there. But I ain't if I ain't going out there to go diving, I ain't going out there because it's hot. And this old fat man don't do the heat,
Well, you've lost 100 pounds though, so.
Yeah, but still, good God,
You're big. Well, you're big. You're up.
But that's what I've got. My main focus right now is let that water clear up and get out there, and because I can't shake this feeling that something amazing is under that water with all those fossils out there. It's, I just got, I can't shake it. Something's under there. I don't know what it is, but something's under there, and we're going to find it because nobody's ever done this out there. Nobody's ever explored these, this creek like that. So, I'm looking forward to that. And, especially water clears up when we get some underwater footage. That's going to be really cool. So, and I've got a couple more. I got talking to Monica's husband. We're wanting to go diving out at Lake Murray in Oklahoma, which is a Bigfoot hotspot. But the water's crystal clear out there. It's a gorgeous place. We're going to go make a dive out there. So, that will actually be, with scuba gear and everything. So,
that's awesome. The water, that's a whole different subject when we talk about whatever cryptids and that. I got the Great Lakes, you got that, what's going on, and water in general. I tell you what, water, that is a conductor for the paranormal,
Oh, yeah.
cryptids. I mean, all those things. You can always find something spooky at the water. I do have something really quick that I want to touch on before we get going. Tex, you probably remember, and I think a lot of people in chat right remember last year. See, my brother and sister always go to Las Vegas June, beginning of June to the end of June. They're coming home, I think, this weekend. In fact, I got to pick them up from the airport this Friday. And if you remember last June when they were in Vegas, I had a nightmare. And I'm not telling the whole story, just a brief for everybody and you, where I was playing cards with the alleged devil.
Yeah.
Right. And then he turned into my father and said he was taking me to the lake of hell. Right. You remember that? And I woke up in a sweat and I immediately did a live show about it. I think Brandy happened to be up and jumped on, and that was a thing. And then the crazy thing about that is it was at the Flamingo, and my brother and sister-in-law just happened to be up at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they see me on a live show at 3:00 in the morning. Like, what the hell is Rob doing? And when I told this story, I told the story about being at the Flamingo playing cards and all the creepiness that went on. So my brother and sister-in-law got really creeped out and went to the Flamingo. And one of the card dealers there and a bartender there said, "Oh, I just saw your brother leave out of here."
Yeah.
And I wasn't there, but I dreamt it. And I did a show on it. So my brother and Karen are in Vegas right now. And they called me on the phone about 3 days ago. He said, "Hey, man, Rob, remember that show and that creepy and how they saw you in Vegas and you weren't there?" She goes, "We had to go back to that spot you played cards again to see if the same people were there, because there's always the same bartenders, because they go there like they know everybody. And I used to know everybody. I went there for 5 years in a row. They said for shits and giggles, we just got to go back and see if they remember." Sure enough, Texas, same bartender was there, because they're always there. They're like 30-year veterans. That's their job, right? They're always there.
Right.
And a card dealer. And he said, "You remember last year when you said our brother was here, but he wasn't, and you told us?" And they said, "Hey, have you seen him? Was he been here?" He goes, "No." Yes. "Why do you ask?" "Well, we just are asking. We're just, checking up on him." And he goes, "Yeah, but I got to tell you, that was the craziest thing, you guys, because I could swear that he was here last year, even though you say he wasn't, because I served him a drink. I dealt him cards," the other guy said. So that today, Tex, and I talked to Brian Bowden about it. He says, now Brian, of course, Brian,
Right.
he told me I was there, but not my physical body.
Right.
And that's still, of all the creepiest things that's happened to me, including Bigfoot, including ghosts at my bars, that dream is something that really is very unsettling for me. I guess
absolutely.
I guess I astral projected. I don't know what I did. Brian Bowden told me I was there, but not in physical form.
I do have something to show off, because I don't know. I can't find it. I don't know if somebody lifted it or not, but you had bought me a statue of Bigfoot, that used to sit back here on the shelf back here.
Yeah.
But it didn't make it home from the conference with me. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And then the other day in the mail, I get a box. And lo and behold, good old Rob here has sent me another statue. So this is a little devil that sits on my shoulder now, I guess.
Yeah, put that up close. People got to see the hand gesture. Yeah.
So
that's what I got, Text. That's replacement. And you know why I got you with him flipping off? That's flipping off the person that stole the one in Alabama.
Right.
And you know who you are. You're probably watching the show.
So that's for you, whoever took my other one.
Yeah, right.
But he sits back here. I've got a little corner shelf back here.
That's awesome.
And this is where he sits.
Okay, yeah. He seems a little smaller than the other one.
He is, but he'll work.
Yeah. Well, I tried to get you the identical one that got lifted from you, but I couldn't find it again. Yeah. So that's cool though. I like that one. It's fitting. It's fitting.
Now he sits on my shoulder over here every show. Right behind me. So
well, I'm glad that I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I was wondering. So.
Oh, I loved it. My wife actually unboxed it, and when she unboxed, she goes, "What the hell is this?" So I'd tell her the story.
Yeah, no, I like that. Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Why did you get you that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a story behind the story, really, because I did try to get you it was the Thinking Man Bigfoot.
Right.
And then I don't think it was out of stock, actually. I said, well, shit, because you just said that, yeah, someone lifted it. I felt bad. I'm like, oh, I got to replace that right away. I ordered that. As soon as you told me that, I ordered it like the next day. Well, I had to go behind your back because you moved. I didn't go behind your back. I wanted to surprise you. Right. But your address, you moved since the last time I sent you the other one.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to ask Randy because I didn't want to ask you because then you would have known I'm sending you something. But then I think I told you anyway that I got your address.
Yeah, you don't keep a secret, really.
Yeah, I suck at keeping secrets. So then you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting something or whatever. So Randy gave me your new address because I didn't want to send it to the old house. Right. But I'm glad you got it. I'm glad you like it. It sucks that someone's, people, man, why would they take that other one, man? Just go buy it.
I mean, I hope they enjoy it.
I hope they enjoy it, I guess, too.
Whatever, And you know what? I mean, and I've been through my stuff from the conference, so I don't know. I don't think I missed it anywhere.
No, you pack up pretty good. You're very. I've been with you on a few conferences. You're very deliberate when you pack your stuff up. You don't miss a thing. So. But whoever took it, enjoy it. I know you're watching, probably somewhere down the road.
Right.
So yeah, but
you could at least give both us. You can at least sub to us if
at least subscribe for your Lord's sakes. And speaking of subscriptions, once again, Tex, I'm proud of you. You hit 6,000 today. Thanks to everybody that helped him out today. I'm glad to say that this show was part of that, hitting that 6,000. If you're new, of course, sub to me, Bigfoot Rob, and of course the Blondes and the Booze. They'll be on tonight with a great show, and they've got a really interesting show Friday. It's a benefit show that has been advertised.
Yes,
go check that out. That'll be very good cause there. And with that being said, Tex, I think I'm out of. I think I'm done out of information to provide on this show, and I know you want to go to bed. And I want to thank everybody for coming on, and thanks to Tex for giving me some new pirate members. Thanks to the beautiful Kelly from Canada. Thank you, and thanks to Tex. So 10 new pirates, courtesy of Tex. Tex, 6,000 subscribers. Everybody on your way out, please hit that like button. And with that being said, Tex, you go to bed, and I'm going to send us off with Tex, by the way. Well, are you gonna? I'll just tell you. Stay on here for 2 minutes when I cut it. I gotta tell you something. Good night or good afternoon, good day, wherever you are in the country. See you later.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks, with an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.